So, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled has been out for over a year now, and my mind has the game grown up to be a real treat, and without a doubt in my mind, one of the best kart racer of all time so far. But of course, not every game is perfect. In this video, give me a chance to explain the good, bad and ugly of this game. Hey there, it's TheViperian here, and this video is pretty much long overdue since that I've posted this onto my page like, over 2 weeks ago. I had been extremely busy with the recent announcement and review of Crash Bandicoot 4, but lo and behold, finally this video is done, and hopefully this serves as a review for those who actually haven't got a chance to play the game yet. Now I won't be too biased in this review, as there are some serious obvious flaws in the game that I will point out, and the recent confirmation from the devs that support for the game has been dropped. I hardly doubt that a surprise patch will just pop out of nowhere. But with that aside, let's not talk about that, but the current state of the game instead. Now, for those of you who are looking for a quick answer for the review, aka the TLDR version, I'm just gonna say the answer is a big yes. Yes, it is worth every penny you can dish out from your wallet right now. If you haven't already, if you love kart races, go ahead and buy the game right now, especially if you have a PS4. Now, notice that I said the PS4 because it is currently the most active platform for CTR Nitro Fueled. Xbox and Switch owners, and especially Xbox, the player base on the game is not very good. So if you don't mind waiting just a little longer in multiplayer lobbies, then sure, go ahead, it is still a fantastic game. Now let's dive into more details, the good, the bad and ugly, and this is what this video is for anyway, so let's get started. Also, I just want to say that if you enjoy the content on this channel, it would be really great if you can subscribe by clicking on the big red button below. It's free, it's really easy, and you can always unsubscribe anyway if you want to. Now, the way this works is I'm gonna be separating this video into a few parts. Let's start off with the good first, and probably the number one good on this list is the gameplay itself. Undoubtedly, this is perhaps one of the most fun kart racer you will ever get to play, and especially if you play the old Crash Team Racing on the PS1, there is zero reason for you to skip this. Of course, unless you only own a PC. Just get it, it is that good. Now, comparing to Mario Kart and Sonic Racers, because I know a lot of you would like to compare, which are probably two of the biggest competitors in the kart racing genre, and I would say CTR has the outstanding gameplay here. Most people would agree, as well, as I can see that most of the comments in that post lean towards mostly to the gameplay as a big plus side for the game. Now, if you don't know, Crash Team Racing has a mechanic where you are able to chain your drift boost for up to 3 times per drift, and that itself actually creates some sort of minigame, and it really engages the players to pay close attention to what they are doing, and it also creates some sort of control that you never really had before compared to, let's say, Mario Kart and Sonic Racers. In Mario Kart, you can't really do much besides holding the drift button for as long as you can and letting go for that extra boost, while in CTR, the drifting mechanic involves players to be consistently engaged on the controller, and this itself is what separates between a good and bad player. It rewards good players in return, and you get a really great sense of feedback and achievement if you can drift boost right for the entire racing session. But not only is drift boosting a thing, there are multiple complicated skills if you're new, such as U-turning, speed ghosting, fire maintenance, the list goes on, and that really does separate the skill gap between a noob and pro player. And I just want to say that while this is probably good, at least for me, there are some people that perhaps think that this is actually bad because of the skill gap. But no matter what it is, I just want to say the gameplay between these 3 games is totally different, and I would say that CTR is definitely superior in this category. So that is the gameplay. Let's talk about the content for a moment, because I think this is where it really shines when it comes to the good for CTR Nitro Fueled. You see, when CTR Nitro Fueled was originally released last year, the amount of content was already actually pretty good. We had about 32 tracks to begin with, and right now, after all the post-content updates for about 8 months or so, that's about 40 tracks in total, and each track is distinctly different from one another. We have tracks from the OG CTR, remade with gorgeous new graphics and some little details added to the background that weren't in the previous games. And I know that this is probably not supposed to be in the content side of the category, but I just want to say the graphics, wow. The graphics of this game is out of this world. Obviously not comparing to next gen titles, but for a kart racing game, this is actually one of the most beautiful racing games out there. Anyway, not only that, we actually have adventure mode, which is actually pretty decent for a kart racing game. The story is actually fresh, fun to watch and play, and most importantly, it feels actually really nostalgic, like how the old games actually feel. And if you're actually a competitive player and is wanting to beat the game, there is a time trial mode with each tracks having 3 different boss fights to beat, which are Nitro Oxide, Emperor Velo, and of course the hardest of the hardest, the developer times by Beenox themselves. Beat them all and you will unlock the ultimate prize in the game, which is the Master Wheels. So for you tryhards out there, this is the mode that's definitely for you. And also multiple game modes are available as well, such as the multiplayer online lobbies, which it does actually has its fault, but I will come back to that later on. And then we have Ring Rally if you're looking for a different sort of challenge, and also Battle Mode, the PvP kart racing game mode, which honestly not a lot of people use and probably not the reason on why you actually buying the game anyway. And of course we can't forget about the split screen. Not a lot of games are doing that right now, so we're actually glad that split screen is actually available. And to add the icing on the cake, we have customizations, one of the biggest plus point in terms of player unlockables. You can race online and offline to gain Wumpa coins, which is the in-game currency, and you can use that in-game currency to buy these cosmetics off the pit stop. And mind I tell you that we have a total of 51 characters in the game, ranging from previous kart racers making a comeback, and of course iconic characters of the series as well. Each characters have their own multiple skins too, and I'm talking about a total of 321 character skins to choose from, and I'm not even scratching the surface yet. We now have a total of 40 different cards as well for you to choose from, ranging from the usual cards with wheels, evolving to the hovercraft. And yes, you can literally ride in style with them as well, since almost each and every part of the card in terms of colors, the wheels such as can be modified. And if you bring those to the online lobby, not a single card will ever look the same. All in all, customization wise, I'm gonna put it in the words of the developer Beenox themselves, as a total of 760 million possible card combinations to have, and that is just simply mind-boggling. My point being, multiple different tracks that you can have fun with, check. Multiple characters and skins for you to choose from so you won't get bored, check. How about an online mode where you can just race around and have fun with while just showing off your new card setup? Definitely check. Content wise, it is filled to the brim, and just for this alone, I would say that there is no reason for you to skip out on this game if you love this type of arcade races. There is something for everybody, and while yes, I am going to go through the bad and ugly of the game right now, I still don't think that it is actually enough to push you away from buying the game if you haven't already. But with that said, let's move on to the bad side of the game, and of course, this doesn't actually mean the game is perfect. No game is. There are some glaring issues that perhaps newer players might not enjoy as much, and they are separated into the bad and ugly. I would start off with the bad first, as it is pretty straightforward. Firstly is the post-content update. I've already mentioned at the start of the video, and yes, you've heard that right. This game will not receive any more updates from now on. So if you're buying into this game and thinking that they're gonna add something new in for the months to come, you're gonna be quite disappointed. But I do have to back it up though that the developer Beenox had already gave us so much post-launch content updates, otherwise known as the Grand Prix for us players, for literally 8 to 9 months straight, and that is truly an incredible feat. So if you actually bumped out about no more updates, just look at it this way, that you've already gotten the full version of the game plus 8 additional free DLCs, well it's actually 9 if you include the developer update, and all packed up ready for you to jump in at the same price or possibly cheaper whenever there's a sales going on, of course. So if you ask me, it's not really as bad as it is. And also, speaking of the bad spot, I would place the battle mode in this category as well. While yes, it is really fun and great if you have friends to play with, matchmaking online isn't doing so well in terms of this game mode. I've been playing ever since the game launched till now, and I can say that I've played only a total of maybe 5 battle modes, and mostly it's just spending my time in the lobby hoping for someone to join in battle mode. It is kinda sad to see this game mode not as popular as the race mode, since the battle mode is kind of my favorite thing during the PS1 days. But then again, it's because I have friends to play with locally, so it wasn't really an issue before. So in conclusion, if you want to play the battle mode, I highly recommend that you find a group of friends or people with the same interest personally. Otherwise, yes, you can actually use the matchmaking function for battle mode, but that is probably going to take you a really long time to find a match. Now let's dive into the ugly side of CTR Nitro Fueled. There are not very many actually, and I can only see one ugly side of it really, and I think long-time players of this game will definitely agree on this one. And yes, I've mentioned about this multiple times in my previous videos before, and that is the multiplayer / online portion side of things. While yes, the multiplayer is fun as hell, you might find yourself harder to find games, and that can actually be a bummer for most people, as playing online is where the fun really is at. Just in case you're wondering, I'm actually playing on the PS4, where the matchmaking is surprisingly really slow as well considering the large player base, but I've heard that it's actually much worse on the Xbox and Switch, mainly because there isn't enough players on those platforms compared to the PlayStation 4. Now if you don't mind waiting a little longer in lobbies, I don't really see this as a problem, and this game would be an immediate 10 out of 10 if this problem doesn't bother you at all. But we can't ignore that this problem isn't here. Games can still be found, do not worry about that. I found a few games sometimes really quickly, but most often times really slow. It's just really hard and tedious at times when you keep on rejoining an online lobby over and over again just to have someone leaving at the very last minute, which actually brings you back to the lobby and you're gonna have to re-queue for a new lobby again. Now I guess another point that you can say that it's the ugly side of the game, and that is actually the longevity of the game. I honestly hope this game will survive as strong as Mario Kart and not just die off like that. Due to the confirmation of no more support for CTR Nitro Fueled, that is why longevity is the biggest concern to me right now. But I guess this can be fixed if, like, for example, the game goes free on the free PS Plus, or at the very least a PC version came out, which would immediately get rid of the ugly of the game, which is the matchmaking side. But until then, I highly doubt it's coming to the PC at this point, and PS Plus free games usually don't happen that quickly after a game launch. It's been like, what, 1 year only, and I guess we'll have to wait for perhaps another year before it's released for free on PS Plus, if it ever happens. But that's just me. I gave you my good, bad and ugly for this game, and try to be as honest as I can be. In summary, if you haven't yet and are thinking to actually get the game, this game is a definite must buy, a full 9 out of 10 despite of the bad and ugly. You have all the post-launch content up and ready for you, and it's probably one of the best kart racing games out there right now. The multiplayer, while yes, it has its problem, but it's actually quite bearable, especially if you're buying this on a PS4. Buying it automatically becomes a no-brainer, hands down. And that's really about it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I guess most of you already got the game, but I hope this video serves as a help for those who are still thinking to get into the game. And if you're new to the channel, it would be really amazing if you can subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, and you can always unsubscribe in the future anyway if you change your mind. And that's it really. Just wanna thank the supporters of the channel as well, and to Coco Beefan for being the highest tier on the channel so far. Why not check out on these two videos as well? Perhaps you enjoyed them just as much as I did in making them. This is TheViperian signing off, and stay awesome.